Level with me for a second. The first time you heard about Knuckles Chaotix went something like this. You excitedly booted up Sonic Generations and began speeding through the Hedgehog's kaleidoscopic pass. At some point, around an hour or two in, you collected enough red star coins to unlock Door into Summer, an infectiously groovy song that, to your surprise, sounded unfamiliar. Straight to YouTube you went, typing in the title only to be met with a twinkling melody and an unfamiliar box art. Knuckles Chaotix? What? Okay, maybe you did hear about Knuckles Chaotix before that, but maybe you hadn't played it. Either way, Sonic Generations was at the very least a reintroduction to a title and more importantly a soundtrack that was lost to a piece of hardware corroded by the hands of time. Released in April 1995, Knuckles Chaotix was the first and only Sonic game to be released on the SEGA 32X. It's a Sonic game in format only. The blue blur wouldn't appear in the game save for during the credits, unless you count the reskinned Mighty the Armadillo as a subtle nod to the Hedgehog. I never owned a 32X, and can't say I've met anyone who did. Or if they had one, they certainly didn't own up to it. The 32X was a sort of stopgap for SEGA, as the developer worked to stay competitive during a transitional time in gaming. Following an aggressive marketing campaign that gave the Genesis, an edgier, more adolescent character, SEGA was looking to capitalize on its momentum. Genesis does what Nintendo don't: blast processing. Terms like these differentiated SEGA and its creations from Nintendo and its family-first ideology, which ironically is a large reason why Nintendo consoles still sit in living rooms around the world, while Dreamcast sit in basements of oddball fans like me. Retailing for $159.99, the 32X slotted into Genesis systems to provide access to higher fidelity games in the run-up to SEGA's actual 32-bit system, the Sega Saturn. Capable of playing Genesis games and sporting a library of 40 native titles, the 32X was viewed as a win, at least internally. According to Tom Kolinsky in a 2011 interview with Sonic Retro, SEGA was aware of the 32X's limited market space, but, he said, at the end of the Genesis lifecycle, we knew that other competitors were working with 32-bit technology, and we were really simply trying to expand the life of the Genesis. In order to help sell more units, the team developed Sonic Crackers for the 32X, which eventually exorcised both Sonic and Tails from the final product to provide fans the game starring everybody's favorite red echidna, Knuckles. It's actually pretty fitting. Knuckles, a character who was introduced in a game whose physical copy featured lock-on technology, was reintroduced on the 32X, which locked onto the Genesis. On the one hand, I could talk about how difficult it is to play Knuckles Chaotix, though the game does provide a handy and surprisingly optional tutorial, as well as configurable controls, which I believe are the first instance of such in the Sonic series. My god, does this game suck! Like its Sonic Crackers prototype, Knuckles Chaotix incorporates a tether mechanic. Two characters are banded together by what I can only assume is magical ring dust. At a basic level, it plays like a regular Sonic game. At another, you end up doing wacky stuff like this. If you thought navigating Wacky Workbench in Sonic CD was troublesome, try traversing Knuckles Chaotix with a secondary character whom you can only pray follows your inputs. Use the mechanic correctly, and you can rock at the speeds rivaling a good Sonic game, but more often, you'll end up flailing around hoping to make your way to the farmost right of the stage to end the level. It's a shame that the game plays so poorly, as its best features only realize if you spend ample time with the game. The Knuckles Chaotix soundtrack, composed by Junko Shiratsu and Mariko Nanba, is arguably one of the best to come out of the Sonic series to date. It has an impeccable ability to both provide a last hurrah to the Genesis and its iconic sound capabilities, while meshing dynamic level music with the game world and its diverse environments. At the time of Knuckles Chaotix release, Shiratsu and Nanba were just the second and third women to lead composing for a Sonic game, preceded only by Yayoi Fujimori's compositions on Sonic Triple Trouble. Shiratsu had a hand in composing for Genesis and Sega CD games as early as 1994, the same year she composed for the Sonic Crackers game. Her talents were certainly recognized, as some of her tracks were further developed into Knuckles Chaotix songs like Electoria and Evening Star. While Knuckles Chaotix was Nanba's first run at composing for Sega, she turned her career into 15 years of Sonic compositions, lending her ear to Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 06, Sonic Rush Adventure, Sonic Unleashed, and Sonic Colors. While Shiratsu laid the foundation for the Chaotix soundtrack, it was arguably Nanba's knack for diverse soundscapes that would color the game's world. Knuckles Chaotix takes place in Neutragic High Zone, which, depending on whether you played the English or Japanese game, was either a carnival sought out by Dr. Robotnik to harness the power of the Chaos Rings, or an Eggman-influenced amusement park that he planned to use to take over the world. That sounds familiar. Regardless, Neutragic High Zone is a mechanical metropolis filled with man-made creations like sailboats and elevators, as well as geometrically shaped foliage. Visually, it's standard Sonic fare, but sonically, Shiratsu and Nanba take the game to the next level. Though man versus machine is a common thread in Sonic games, Knuckles Chaotix and its soundtrack exaggerates this. Many of the songs are explicitly mechanical in nature. Percussion rattles about like a roller coaster across wooden slats, and the instrumentation, unlike the realism of Sonic CD songs, favors digitized trembles and jingling synths. Take Mechanical Dance, the Game Over theme. Behind the chaotic synth melody lays a harsh buzzing, reminiscent of the sound effect that plays during a wrong answer on a quiz show. Or, on Hyperhype, the lobby music, a metallic rhythmic section bounces from ear to ear as Knuckles and company prepare to take on the next stage. Part of why Knuckles Chaotix music feels right at home in the Sonic series is how it's produced. Rather than having its own sound chip, the 32X works off the Genesis Yamaha YM2612 generator, with additional audio channels mixed in through the 32X software. The result is a vivacious OST that's on brand for the Sonic the Hedgehog series and its layered compositions. To go back to the lobby music for a second, that's another part of what makes this soundtrack so good. It features not one, but 3 separate tracks for its lobby, each reflecting the changing time of day. Evening Star is a bass and synth groove that leaves behind some of the more manufactured sound effects for a more typically funky Sonic track. Moonrise reimagines the hyperhype melody, albeit with a thick bass line, not unlike the subnautical bounce of Tidal Tempest's Bad Future from Sonic CD. The stage themes feature similar musical diversity. Electoria, as it sounds, relies on frenetic 8th and 16th notes to drive the pace of Techno Tower, while fan-favorite tracks like Seascape support the imagery of a lazy beach day as Knuckles strolls through Marina Madness. Though I'm a sucker for all those songs, Midnight Greenhouse is my personal favorite. The first half of the song would make for a perfect low-key loop for a Sonic soundtrack, but the second half and its high-pitched melody breathe new life into an incredibly organic track. In making this video, I think I've realized why the Knuckles Chaotix soundtrack, like the Sonic CD one, is so impactful. Both games feature some of the longest track lists in the classic 2D series. Knuckles Chaotix clocks in at 41 tracks, while Sonic CD boasts 42. The soundtrack's density allows it to morph to complement the levels around them. That means levels like Amazing Arena sport multiple themes for various states, taking a game with just 5 unique stages and jazzing them up with new tunes to suit different moods. I wouldn't recommend playing Knuckles Chaotix for its gameplay. It's not a drastically difficult game, though I didn't bother beating it for this review because that's a waste of my time. But the tether mechanic is enough of a nuisance to leave you better off playing without the pressure of beating the game outright. However, I can recommend playing the game for its soundtrack. These are joyous earworms, best enjoyed firsthand, as Knuckles and his band of oddballs careen up, down, and all around a colorful 32-bit world.